A huge shady and immoral business of organ selling to foreigners has developed in China.
Systematic, state-sanctioned organ harvesting from non-consenting prisoners of conscience,
especially from Falun Gong prisoners of conscience,
is happening today in front of our eyes.
Is absolutely unacceptable and should be ended immediately.
这是在欧盟这个层次啊，可能是第一个这么清楚、这么直截了当的谴责中共活在法轮功学员之中。
I totally support this resolution. We should condemn it more strongly.
We ask the EU member states to condemn publicly the corrupt and immoral organ transplantation business.
It is the European Parliament's obligation to condemn decisively the actions of the Chinese government in this appalling issue that touches the core of human dignity and the fundamental right to life.
The human life is as precious, as valued in China as elsewhere in the world. And this is exactly what we're going to say with this resolution.
In December 2012, 15 international organizations and groups sent letters to the European Parliament asking them to pass this urgent resolution condemning the Communist Party of China's practice of harvesting the organs of prisoners of conscience.
Concerning Falun Gong and human organ harvesting, this is especially shocking form. And I would say that we have to send a very clear message.
For us, that is not acceptable. It must stop now, and it must stop everywhere and against anybody.
The brutality of these allegations of forced organ harvesting crosses the line of what some people are able to accept. After the Nazi genocide of World War II, after the Soviet Union's iron fist rule and slaughter, it was thought that such savage acts against humanity had been relegated to the history books.
It reminds me of the young Polish man who got out of Poland in 1941, having been into the death camps. And he went to London and he went to Washington to try and tell the Allies what was happening in the death camps. And a famous judge called Felix Frankfurter, who was himself Jewish, was asked by a journalist, "You did not believe what this young man was saying. You called him a liar." He said, no. I didn't say he was a liar. I just said, I cannot believe what he's telling me. And that's the real problem with this subject.
In 2006, lawyer and former Canadian Secretary of State for the Asia-Pacific region, David Kilgour, and Canadian human rights lawyer David Matas launched an independent investigation into the forced organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners' organs.
The allegation and our findings are shocking. I mean, to us, this is a form of evil we have yet to see on this planet.
They compiled the detailed evidence and results they obtained into the book Bloody Harvest, The Killing of Falun Gong for Their Organs.
When I met David Kilgour, who was the Minister of Justice in Canada and who is a lawyer himself and who is an author, and he told me that yes, incredible as it sounds, but the most wonderful people in China, the most civilized and wonderful people, they refuse to believe this. It's so incredible. Which means that it's a very sinister practice, which is adopted by a very narrow circle of Chinese society.
A formal resolution against forced organ harvesting was drafted prior to the European Parliament's plenary session, awaiting a vote.
I want to remind the quotation from Dante in Inferno. The worst places in the hell are reserved for those who stay aside during the time of moral crisis. We are now in moral crisis, so we should act.
we have to express our deep concern over persistent and credible reports of systematic, state-sanctioned organ harvesting from non-consenting prisoners of conscience,
including from Falun Gong practitioners, according to the information I received. Imprisoned for their religious beliefs is absolutely unacceptable.
The government launched a nationwide persecution to eradicate the traditional and peaceful spiritual practice of Falun Gong. This follows the principles of truth, compassion, tolerance.
Diese Organentnahme, ist schockierend und widerspricht jeglicher Vorstellung von menschlicher Würde.
Že je pre mňa nepochopiteľné, že národ s takou bohatou kultúrou a civilizáciou vôbec začal s takýmto dekadentným prístupom k ľudskému organizmu.
Ich frage mich wirklich, sind denn die Opfer normalerweise nicht die besten Zeugen dafür, was ihnen zugestoßen ist? Oder welche Grund sollte denn Menschen haben, hier etwas Falsches zu behaupten, wenn es nicht ihnen tatsächlich oder ihren Familienangehörigen zugestoßen ist? Und das erinnert mich fast an die Zeiten, wo die Opfer von Stalins oder Hitlers Konzentrationslager nachweisen mussten, dass es wirklich so schrecklich war. Das kann doch nicht Sinn der Sache sein. Nur weil eine Diktatur sich diese Intransparenz leisten kann, dann das in Zweifel zu ziehen, das, was die Opfer uns erzählen.
The resolution, which was co-sponsored by 5 of the 7 European Parliament groups and supported by 6 groups, was passed by a majority vote. The resolution recommends that the European Union and its member states publicly condemn organ transplant abuses in China and raise awareness of this issue among their citizens. The resolution also instructs its president to forward it to the European Commission, the European Council, the UN Human Rights Council, and the Chinese government.
The European Parliament is the voice of 500 million Europeans.
We built the European Union on values, freedom, democracy.
This behavior is not accepted by the world community.
Since the exposure of live organ harvesting in 2006, nearly a decade has gone by.
We should have done it earlier, but I think we have learned very much during this process of support. And now we are much more clear about what is going on in China and much more determined to continue our support and express our solidarity toward our Chinese friends.
This resolution is the decision of the European Parliament. To do something is addressed to the People's Republic of China.
I very much hope it will be received positively, like a goodwill of people who care.
I understand that, and sometimes China, like Russia, thinks that the West is imposing, which is nonsense, of course, because I think that the West owes really much to China itself, to the courage of Chinese dissidents, Chinese writers and human rights defenders, people who were fearless and so courageous. It's something deeply universal, something that is related to, I would say, common denominator adopted by all civilized countries.
这个事情不是一个简简单单的政党之间的政治问题，其实这个问题是关系到全人类的以后未来的生存。因为人类社会没有最基本的道德观念是很难运转的。